Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Media Show on the Pod TV Network. I'm Nick Palabito. I'll be your host for today's show. And I was going to beep to commercial, but I didn't beam to commercial because Rick Rosner has just joined us from California. So we're not going to do a commercial. Hey, Rick. I was going. Usually, when people show up late, I just run a 2-minute commercial and I go, okay. But if people show up, then I go.
So a lot of our shows are trying to predict what happens in the future. The previous hour is hosted by David M. Walker, who has a book, The U.S. Still a Superpower in the year 2040. So we're all trying to figure out what the future is like. There is one show on TV that really does a good job of presenting a weird future, and it's not okay. So there's a lot of science fiction on TV that's annoying unless you enjoy science fiction, because it's by nerds for nerds.
Right.
But there's a show about the near future by the guy who created The Office.
Mm-hmm.
And this show is very surprising because it's a very kind of comprehensive picture of a messed up future, and it's super funny and surprising in a lot of ways. Obviously, he hired half comedy writers and then half experts on the future to make this thing. It's called Upload, and it's on Amazon Prime. There's 4 seasons of it, and it's really good because he hired a ton of people to think about what the future might be like and to make it funny.
Yeah. Well, we should be in contact with him because we might be able to get it on the Pod TV network. I have another show.
He's busy because he's also the guy who created the new show, which is a semi-spin-off of The Office called The Paper, which is really funny.
Yeah, I do have a new show. I invited the guy to come here, but he probably won't because it was a quick invite. But he runs a daily, almost like a daily news show that looks pretty good, and we plan on putting him on the Pod TV network, so he'll be with us. But you're right, we do have that. But also, this is a realistic problem. I mean, the thing that affected everybody, at least it did for us in 2008, the economy collapsed. I mean, there's a group of people who never ran through a collapsed economy, so they don't know what's going on. But when the economy collapsed in 2008, our office space, we had about 10,000 square foot office, and we downsized over a period of years to 600 square feet and had to lay off like 25 employees. I mean, it was almost every day we'd have to tell everybody, well, we have no new business coming in, so we're just relying on our old business. We did that for a couple of years, and then after a while, you just don't have any money to pay people.
Then 12 years later, COVID hits, and it empties out the office buildings again.
Yeah, right. And so the thing is, economic downturns, there's very little safety nets for people when the economy goes down. And now our projections are right now, you're going to look pretty good because the U.S. government's spending money. Will happen for the next 4 years, probably, maybe even 5 or 6. And then all of a sudden, if no changes are made, the hurricane is the first bands are going to hit. And it'll probably be the markets reacting to what's going to happen in 2033 or 2032 maybe, which is the collapse of Social Security and collapse of Medicare.
We almost got Nick and Rick. We were almost able to get a major superstar and everything along those lines, and I know that it would have been hard to get them because you would have had to come up off of some money, Nick, and everything like that. And apparently it was a prank and all like that. But there's a lot of people, whether it was Rush Limbaugh or a number of others, that are sensational journalists and sensational media people. So apparently there was rumors out there that Howard Stern was available. So I was wondering if Pod TV was going to try to pick him up, but apparently I think he's the owner of Sirius, or at least started involved. But it turned out it was just a prank.
Yeah, well, Howard Stern demanded and got $100 million from Sirius. So, Mark, you can go write him a check for the $100 million, and then come over to Pod TV.
I don't have that kind of money. I thought
I didn't say you had to have the money. Just write him a check. Maybe you should write him $100 million from your cryptocurrency account.
Yeah, I don't have a cryptocurrency account.
Howard,
Or you can go to some of these countries. I forgot it when I was in Hungary. The money there was like practically worthless. Seriously, they traded in some weirdo Hungary money, and to buy a pen was like 20,000 Hungarian dollars.
Well,
So I could easily become a millionaire.
either that, or we can find
I mean,
the
100 million
we can
Hungarian
find the
dollars.
person that has the 2 tickets, because apparently there is a winner. We don't know who yet, but there is a winner because 2 tickets match all the numbers in the $1.8 billion Powerball drawing. So somebody out there has got.
Now that's called the allocation of capital correctly. Oh, but really does get me. Okay, and this is just because I've done this work for 40 years, is that there's a cap on Social Security taxes. In other words, if you reach a certain income, right now it's about 170,000. You don't pay into the Social Security system anymore. A lot of people don't know that. Around 177,000. So if you're making like 250,000 or 350,000, you'll pay Social Security taxes in your first 170, which is 12.4%, and then it goes to zero. Seriously, and you pay no Social Security taxes. So what happens is Social Security collects from all the working people, but rich people basically don't pay in the system. Warren Buffett tried to bring that up, trying to say, basically, it's not right. You're going to have to fix this. My tax rate is less than my secretary's rate. But people who are so financially ignorant, they didn't understand it. Then Bill Gates' dad tried to do the same thing in Washington. I was in an event with him before he passed away. And the people still didn't get it. In other words, they don't understand that they pay taxes at a higher rate than a wealthy person. And so they voted it down in Washington. They voted it down in the U.S. And of course, what does it create? A situation you see today. People like Elon Musk having more money than their brain power.
We have some major media news that just came down, and it involves the courts. But apparently, the appeals court has upheld E. Jean Carroll's $83 million judgment against Trump. So I guess Trump owes her $83 million.
Yeah.
Appeals court.
Well, it'll probably be appealed again
about an hour ago.
So how many? There's only one more place to take it, and that's Supreme Court. Is that?
Yeah, Supreme Court. Or it'll probably end up doing. Oddly enough, he'll end up probably paying that judgment. Then I'll tell you why. It's because he made so much money off of Trump's Truth Social and so much money off his cryptocurrency that he'll do what most billionaires do. And let me tell you what they do. They borrow the money from a bank at prime rate, so 6%. So he doesn't have to pay income taxes. And he writes the $83 million check. Ta-da!
So in the past,
he borrows against his stock. And his stock is worth like $4 billion.
So when Trump entered the presidency this time around, his net worth was roughly zero. And since then, a month ago, he was worth $3 billion from about half a dozen different crypto schemes.
You mean $3 billion?
Now it's up to $5 billion. Now, he can't pull that money out because if he starts selling the crypto, it collapses.
Yeah, right. But
what you said, which is
you borrow. You take a loan against your stock. I mean, that is a very common play. There was a company in San Francisco.
He's done that his entire career, 50 years, and he's defaulted on loans every few years his whole life.
Yeah,
he's definitely done that.
Yeah, well, if it's a non-recourse loan, too bad for the lender.
No, lenders have lost hundreds, probably close to $1 billion on.
And they're idiots, because the thing is, they have to realize you have to structure the loan with security and make it recourse. If they didn't do it, they're idiots when it comes to structuring loans. I don't have any stuff.
Don't we have ties to Nepal and everything like that? Because apparently along with other places, they are making their Gen Z people highly upset, and there were some deaths in Nepal because apparently they have a social media ban now. So they turned violent in Nepal over the social media ban because the folks in Nepal were wanting to get on their social media, whether it was Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever other social media they may be on, or Instagram. But apparently there was unrest because the young folks are upset, and there was an anti-government rally over their social media ban. So we might have to get in touch with our folks over there and see if they want to come and talk about this social media ban and everything like that, because apparently there's some upset teenagers.
Yeah, well, we could get hold of Shambu, but he's doing a private jet summit in London like next week, or the next week after. He invited me to go to London, but I'm not interested in hanging around with people that have private jets. It's not my thing.
Well, I mean, this is like a summit where people will just be, because there was even a company here in Durham, North Carolina that sold private jets. So they were going to be actually like going there and trying to sell the private jets, or are they just going to be admiring the private jets? What goes on at a private jet summit?
Oh, the only thing difference is that you don't have to go through security because you go to these minor airports. But I personally, I just don't like them because they're not, as, in my opinion, as safe as the registered jets. The captains are better, the training's better, the jets are better. So I'm not interested in the private jets. I prefer commercial airlines.
Interested, I'm curious. The first game of the NFL was the Chargers against the Chiefs. The Chargers won that game, and it was in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I've actually got a friend, a coworker that's going there. I think next month. That was the first game of the season. Yes, it was, and everything, because they're doing. I think it's 5 or 6. I see you're always with us. He may be able to correct me and everything, but it's 5 or 6 international games. One of the games will be in Madrid. So, are you going to that game? Because they're going to be playing an NFL game.
The Miami Dolphins are playing. I thought about it, but I don't know what day that is. I thought that was next year there in Madrid. Are they in Madrid this year?
No, Madrid is this year.
Oh, really? Wow. Madrid's not that far from where I live, and I believe their attendance will mainly be expats like myself going there, because the Spanish people don't give a rat's rear about American football. They could care less. They're all into soccer. They love soccer. But in terms of American football, forget it. And they like American basketball. They play basketball, soccer, and then that's it. So, but there's a big expat community here. There's a lot of Americans living in Spain. I mean, there's like 60 or 80,000. It's amazing how many U.S. people live here. So they'll probably draw from a lot of the Americans.
No, I'm sure they'll draw from a lot of Americans and everything like that. YouTube actually, on the second game, I think that was the game on Friday, they were one of the people that were carrying the games. I think they were carrying a lot of the games on Sunday as well. So, Rick, what's your thoughts around YouTube as a sportscaster? I was not all that impressed with some of the YouTube.
Mark, just to point out,
I don't know.
Just to point out, Dallas and Philly played on Thursday. That was the first game of the season.
Oh, my fault.
You're referring to the second game twice, because the second game was the Chiefs and the Chargers, and that was Friday.
And that was the YouTube game, correct?
Yeah.
The first
the NFL is not stupid, and it's looking for all possible. There are NFL games on Nickelodeon where they use AI to replace all the players with cartoon characters or Pokemon, and so kids can enjoy them.
I just saw it, Mark. They're actually Miami Dolphins are playing the Washington Commanders November 16th in Madrid at 3:30 CST, which is 3:30 in Central Time. I might go to the game because it's only an hour and a half, and I like Miami, obviously, but I like the Miami Hurricanes, where I went to school, as opposed to the Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins, not the Hurricanes and everything
I like the Hurricanes. I like the Hurricanes better than the Dolphins. And I like South Florida, where I went to school, which, by the way, beat Florida. But you guys don't care because you're all into North Carolina schools. And we thumb our nose at the North Carolina football.
The North Carolina schools actually did pretty well this time.
Duke did really well against Illinois. But North Carolina State did win. They beat Virginia. I was shocked. Virginia looked like they had the better team, but I guess not today.
Not today.
My Campbell Camels got crushed, but they're
there's some interesting news that you'll be interested in following. all along those lines, because it's right up your alley with what you've been wanting for a while, Nick. So I'm definitely curious to see your thoughts about this. But it came down about 4 days ago. PBS is cutting 15% of its staff. So Congress voted this year to strip $500 million in annual funding for public broadcasters, including PBS and the PBS stations. And it looks like they're cutting 15% of their staff. So I know you're
15 or 50%.
15, 1
15.
5.
Okay, that's reasonable. You know, no, look. It's just the way they are. They're a snotty group. Okay, if they weren't so snotty, I'd have some good things to say about them. But I've had my interactions with them have been really, really bad. In other words, I don't see that to be a very friendly organization, and I don't like how they treat Americans. In other words, they treat us like second-class citizens, and they buy everything from the BBC and they buy through the ABT. They used to not be that way. I spent 2 years with that group, Mark. 2 years, they were different. They had a red book. They encouraged Americans to participate. They were more, it's just like North Carolina State versus North Carolina. Let me tell you the difference. North Carolina State is an outreach program. They outreach to the community. They're involved in gardening. They embrace the community with a lot of different events. North Carolina State's a great university because they outreach the community. University of North Carolina is not like that. It is a very snotty little group of people in Chapel Hill.
Nick,
the thing is,
when was the last time you were in
University of North Carolina.
Hey, Nick, when was the last time you were in Chapel Hill? When was the last time you were in Chapel Hill?
Oh Lord, it was when I was in Europe. Remember my ex-daughter-in-law.
No, that wasn't the question. When was the last time you were in Chapel Hill? Because I know for a fact that Justin told me that UNC does a lot of stuff in Carrboro, a lot of stuff in Hillsborough, a lot of stuff in even Durham, and a lot of stuff in Chapel Hill itself. So they do stuff in the city that you're saying they don't do.
Yeah, the city of Chapel Hill.
No,
they're very incestuous.
Just to point out real quick.
We went over that incestuous last time.
Both NC State and Carolina do a lot of outreach in the community. They do a lot because you have to do that in the area that you're in. Even Duke does a lot of outreach in the community.
Matter of fact, Duke was just in
So I really don't know your argument there.
North Carolina's an incestuous, snotty state school.
Why do you? Here's the question.
Okay, and they're what they call pretentious.
All right, before you have this argument again, you had
that people around the United States care about them and they care about that, and that's not true.
Let me talk about my experience. All right. Let me talk about my experience with Colorado. So Colorado has two big state schools: University of Colorado Boulder and Colorado State University in Fort Collins. Yeah. And my experience with this, like 45 years ago, is CU. And I would guess it's even more like this now. That CU is the place that attracted all the glamorous out-of-state students who paid 4 times as much as the in-state students. But if you're a rich kid from Beverly Hills, you expect the party to come to you. So, at CU, like 50% of the student body was in love with the 8% most glamorous students on campus. We had supermodels, and you never saw them because they'd go to class maybe, and then on the weekends, somebody was flying them on a helicopter off for a cover shooter to go skiing in Switzerland. CSU was the ag school in Fort Collins, which smells like cow shit because there are big stockyards. The whole city smells like poop. But CSU got all the in-state, like crazy farm kids from the whole state. My buddy went there and he had great times because you take a farm kid and you put him on campus, that kid is going to go freaking wild. So yeah, like in Colorado, I think you go to the instead of the U of Colorado, you go to State U. Colorado
It's kind of
State.
like NC State and UNC. Hey, just really quickly, Nick, I got a question for you that's a legal question because there's two conservative networks and everything, and apparently, since this is the media show, the smaller one of the conservative network is arguing that the bigger one has created a monopoly. So Newsmax is accusing Fox News of violating antitrust laws, and of course, Fox is saying the case has no merit. So, what is your take on this? Because this is coming in the news now, and of course, those are the two bigger players in terms of conservative TV and everything like that. So,
Well, is it an accusation or it's a formal legal complaint?
it's
it's
a formal legal complaint.
A formal legal complaint?
Yeah,
Seriously?
but I think it got thrown out, didn't it?
I'll have to go look at it.
I mean, hold on. But no, it was. They did. Let's see what happened.
I love to read.
Here it is from 3 days ago. Newsmax lawsuit against Fox News is dismissed.
Dismissed,
but not with prejudice.
That's what I was going to say. Next thing, is it with or without prejudice?
No, the judge said they can refile.
Okay, so it could be a technical problem on the lawsuit.
But the deal is Fox News is untouchable in terms of wealth because Fox News has a deal with cable providers. Like people like to say, boycott Fox News, we'll take them down. You can't because Fox News doesn't make money from ads. They make a pittance. What they make it is like, I don't know, like it's maybe $2 a month from every cable subscriber on Spectrum or Comcast. They have a built-in deal that makes them, they had to pay out almost $800 million for lying about the 2020 election, that there was election. They paid it out and they're still fine. They are swimming in money and you cannot stop them.
Yeah, I would agree. That's going to be a real tough one, especially if it's an antitrust suit. Those are so hard to win.
Yeah, but even say they lose and they have to pay out $300 million. They don't care. I mean, they care a little bit, but does it stop them? Does it change their behavior at all? No. They have a vice grip on the media. The media. Remember, in the United States, when we looked at this 5 years ago, and it's still true today, 90% of the media in the U.S. is controlled by 5 companies. Mm-hmm. It used to be in the 70s. 50% were controlled. In other words, you had almost like 100 companies. So it really, in the U.S., it has become more and more of a monopoly position. Getting back to Colorado, at 60% are for people from the state of Colorado, about 10% from California, the rest from everybody else. So University of Colorado, and I did go to the University of Denver, and I lived in Boulder, but University of Colorado is also an incestuous school. It's just not as incestuous as North Carolina, And if you had to say what is the most incestuous school in the country that I've seen so far, it's University of North Carolina. But the University of Colorado is still a great place to go. They have good programs.
That's because Boulder's great.
You're just mad.
Beautiful. And at least when I was living there and going to school and working in a ton of bars, they had great bars. I met my wife when we were both, I was a half-assed failing all my classes student at CU, but my wife was like a serious student there, and we've been married 35 years. Well,
the thing is, in Boulder, you could go skiing at Lake Eldora, and back then they had Hidden Valley. It's not there anymore. But Eldora is right in your backyards. The Flatiron Mountains right there. You had beautiful scenery. In Chapel Hill, there's nothing. It's flat. It's ugly. And you have a street where there's no parking. It's
I call Boulder the city of muscly butts. You go to Boulder and everybody has.
You never went to Playmakers Theater in Chapel Hill? You never went to their art gallery?
No, I
never went to the Morgan Planetarium?
Wait, I was talking
my grandson went to Chapel Hill High School, dude. I used to go to Chapel Hill all the time to go watch his volleyball and football games, and they basically made all state volleyball and basketball. Okay, it's not that. Except if you ever go to there is no. He went to Chapel Hill High School. He made all state and volleyball. He just graduated last year.
Last year,
he's at NC State now. That's how incestuous it is. I can't get him out of North Carolina. because of the incestuous nature of your state. So I'm trying to say, look, you gotta open your eyes and see that the world is bigger than stupid Chapel Hill and
because
Durham.
really your whole argument here is just trying to get a rise. It's not really actually making any sense.
No, it's not to give a rise. I'm giving demographics.
That's
okay,
all
I even said
Boulder's
Boulder's
to an audience that is like
as
Sasha and other people that are sitting there going like, why are they arguing about Chapel Hill and Raleigh?
I'm not arguing
like
that.
that.
I'm just putting facts, and you guys
It has nothing to do with Canada
let me talk
whatsoever.
about CU again for a second.
Let's talk about the U, baby. The U.
All right, let me talk
Good
about
school.
CU. So Boulder is the land of muscly butts. Everybody has a super strong butt from hiking, from bicycling.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're big outdoors. You're right.
It's a big outdoorsy city. For years, I was told this, and I believe it's true, that CU is a beautiful town, but their sports teams have been wildly uneven and mostly sucky. And I was told the reason is that Boulder is such a white town that they had trouble recruiting black kids to come to this, because if you're a black kid at CU, if you want to meet other black people, you got to drive 30 miles to the nightclubs in Denver if you're of age. And then you don't want to drive 30 miles back after you're all liquored up. So now I think the culture has maybe changed a little bit with Deion Sanders as the coach and stuff, and maybe that'll change sports culture at CU. I don't know.
Well, we'll see what happens there and everything. There's a major TV anchor that is still involved in writing. He's doing it now on computer. I think he's got like his own Substack, and he does a lot of other writing, as I recall, and everything like that. So I'm just wondering, are you still going to be writing, running this thing when you're 93, Nick? Because Dan Rather is still chasing the news, even though he's 93 and 20 years removed from signing off as a CBS anchor. So he, as one of his favorite quotes, as Popeyes used to say, "I am what I am." So apparently he's saying he's still a journalist, and I know for a fact because I still get his newsletter. I think I get it in.
So Dan Rather is probably at least partially propelled by grievance, because the way he left CBS, I think it was CBS, right, was he got screwed. So it's the election of what, 2004. And
by the way, this again comes from the internet. So I was looking at what you're talking about, the racial composition of Boulder, Colorado. 63% white, 12% Hispanic.
Talk about Dan Rather now.
Forget Dan Rather. This is more important to Toby. 6% Asian. Now, Black Americans in Boulder, 0.0215%. Black Americans don't even make 1% of Boulder, Colorado. It's 0.215.
Okay.
So you're right, Rick. I mean, Deion Sanders showed up.
Yeah,
he was the only black guy in Boulder, but they brought his team there. But man, I didn't know it's that.
Let's go back to the Dan Rather point.
I don't think Dan Rather is
Let's talk about Dan Rather. So, so hold on. So there's the election of 2004, and Bush is running for a second term, and Dan Rather gets a document proving a letter proving that George Bush had gone AWOL from the National Guard. His dad got him a cushy job flying jets in the National Guard, but even that cushy job wasn't cushy enough, and George Bush ditched the job and just didn't finish his service. And Rather gets a letter confirming this, and they're looking at the letter, looking at it, and Dan Rather says, "I stand by this letter," and they do a story on it, and the letter turns out to be a forgery. That was printed with a type of typewriter that didn't exist in 1968 when the letter was supposedly written. There was some other stuff wrong with it, and a conspiracy theory, which seems reasonable in this case, was that George Bush's people released the letter to blow up the story because they knew that it would be discovered to be a forgery. And that whole mess drove Dan Rather off of network TV.
Well, and that's not a big fan of Trump either. So that's the other reason.
Dan Rather stood by it rather than saying, upon information and belief, given
Yeah.
what I had seen. This is what the facts. This appears to be what the facts are. Rather than I'm going to stand by it. And the reason why he got his butt tossed is he's a stupid liberal media junkie, and so they got rid of him. I can't blame him. He should have been more objective and been counseled well to say the right thing, saying upon the evidence that not I'm standing by it.
But
Yeah,
there he is
yeah.
still doing
Yeah.
journalism. Dan Rather's first big scoop was the Kennedy assassination in 1963. 62 years later, and he's still doing journalism.
Yeah, right. I mean, that all he's looking for is dirt. He's a graveyard digger, just looking for
I had
dirt.
a question. Here's a question, because
I guess you call him investigative journalist.
I got a
Hey,
question.
Toby, how you doing?
Pretty good. You're going down this
Do you
path.
have any good
I got-
football teams in
question.
North
Can you
Carolina today?
Can you help with definitions here? Because you went after, because Dan Rather was considered one of the most trustworthy news people that was on TV. He was always considered it. And then so you went down some liberal path. Can you help define what kind of path that is? How what makes a path liberal?
Oh, when you continually promote your own agenda as opposed to the facts, that makes it a liberal.
What is
It also makes conservatives. They do the same thing. See, the people that are independent are the people you want to listen to, not the conservatives. They have their agenda, not the liberals. They have the agenda. Forget the progressives. You want to listen to independent thought. I know that's a hard one for you to grasp.
The quote unquote liberal path is that it's a path where you promote your own
agenda over facts. I mean, he wasn't looking for facts; he was looking for his agenda. It wasn't my problem. I didn't have
wait. Nick. Okay, again, I want to get this down. You say your definition of a liberal path is a path where a person propagates their own agenda, regardless of what the facts say.
Yeah, and it's a conservative.
Wait.
I put them both in the same.
You said is a liberal path. Okay, so you're saying that when Donald Trump goes
Am I under cross-examination here, Jacoby, or something?
Yeah, because I need clarification. Because you just saying.
What law school did you go to, Jacoby?
You're saying random stuff, so I want to get clarification. I want to make sure that we're talking.
Motion for clarification granted.
If we start at the same basis, then I know we can have a good conversation. But if we can't start at the same base because you keep moving the goalposts, we can't have a good conversation. So what I'm asking you now, when Trump went out and propagated the fact that, or when he continues to, even now, I won the 2020 election and I'm all this and that and the other thing, even though the facts say different. Or when the Florida Surgeon General goes out and propagates that, vaccines are poison and you shouldn't and we're doing this to give choice to people and you can get whatever you want, even though when they did that, or even when RFK goes out and says, hey, Tylenol causes autism and all this other stuff. When they are propagating their own agenda, regardless of facts, does that make RFK, the Surgeon General of Florida, Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, make them all liberals?
No, it makes them conservatives. And they're just as bad.
Ladapo is a liar and he's a full-on.
Yeah. Why do you think I like Labato or whatever his name is? He's a complete moron. Or RFK.
Okay.
They basically tout the conservative agenda, which is also incorrect. You see, that's what I'm saying.
I'm a little confused again. I
don't know why you like Labato and RFK. I do not like either one.
I'm a little confused.
Why are you
I
confused?
asked you what makes a liberal agenda. Now you're saying that these people propagating their own agenda themselves, which is the same definition you gave for a liberal agenda.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
You're saying that Trump is using a liberal agenda now.
Yeah, no, he's using conservative. It's the
See,
same
so
thing.
now you don't even
Yeah,
know
the,
who
the
I'm
whole
talking
agenda thing. Hey, just really quickly, hey Rick, I got a question, and this is steering away, and hopefully because we've not had any ladies on today at all, so we will in the next show because Irene will bring several ladies onto her show. I know that for a fact, in addition to some guys and everything like that. But Rick, is Vogue still relevant and everything? Because they just hired a new editor. She's a young lady, Miss Molly, and everything.
Kind of not.
Molly.
So, all right. So there's a thing called, there's even a documentary called the September issue,
Mhm.
which is the fattest issue of the year of Vogue. My wife used to get it. And that thing was, it was this thick. It was 600 pages from all the advertising. Now a normal issue of Vogue is, I don't know, 120 pages. The September issue is probably still 200 pages, but the advertising has gone away from magazines. They've been, I mean, they still get, Gucci and Louis Vuitton and all that stuff, but much less than formerly. So yeah, the power of Vogue has been reduced by all the other media that people turn to.
They're saying that they may need a new identity. So I'm wondering what that new identity would be. Because I also
I mean, oh yeah, they need a rebranding. It's not going to help that much because the whole structure of the publishing industry has been hollowed out because everybody's moved to TikTok or other, social media. Their attention has moved there. A lot of the money has moved there. Our attention spans are for shit at this point. That we don't have the patience to deal with magazines.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And they've got a lot of fashion on TikTok because I've been watching TikTok, putting some of our stuff on TikTok, but also watching some of the other stuff. And there's even a lot of salespeople that are on there selling fashion and selling Tupperware and selling a little bit of everything. So is TikTok here to stay, or is TikTok going to be one of them passing fads that disappears after a while? So
Well, what's going to happen? I mean, technology is going to continue to change 10 years from now. But the TikTok of 10 years from now will be some delivery system that delivers clips and entertainment, straight to your, like, via a contact lens, right to your eyeball. So you can be doing everything in your life at the same time you're watching like a flood of BS coming, and fun and people shaking butts are right now. Who knows what body part will be the focus of 10 years from now? But anyway, you'll get it straight from your contact lenses or from your glasses that have a built-in projector. Everybody, TikTok's not permanent. It'll be, but when it comes to getting attention in the modern, it's so hard. There are 4.6 million podcasts.
There's tons of podcasts. Speaking of that, I was watching an old episode of Cold Case, and I think it was the last one I watched last night. They were featuring something that was very popular in the media, and I'm sure even Nick probably had one. I know that I probably had a couple. Might have even been Farrah and everything like that. But when did the pinup girl disappear and everything like that? Because that's what the episode was focusing on, a woman from the 40s that wanted to be a pinup model and everything. And I think one of the main characters on that show was saying that Sophia Loren was their pinup.
All right, so 1978, there's one poster that everybody is familiar with. It's Farrah Fawcett in a red one-piece bathing suit. And everybody knew it. There were 3 broadcast networks, and she was one of the prettiest women in broadcast TV. Now there's an avalanche of porn, and the market for pretty ladies has been exploded. 1.1 million OnlyFans models. How are you going to have a pinup model that has the reach of Farrah Fawcett in a fragmented world that's just packed to the gills with pretty naked ladies?
You can't.
Yeah, like you said, there's tons of points, there's tons of things like that. Because even back in the day, there were people that were using the old pinup models as part of their recreation. I'll just leave it at that because I know people that were doing that with Jet and People and probably even Vogue, but they don't do that anymore because there's too many, as you said, images that are out there that are
Adam
graphic.
Carolla has a joke that I love, that he talks about how much porn we have now, but he says, in our grandparents' time, there was no porn. That your grandpa had to go lie on his back on a grassy hill and wait for a sexy shaped cloud to drift by.
Well, he could also go look at Look magazine. Your grandpa could, because Look magazine had some sexy people.
There were weird places for guys to go for their.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like Look magazine, and Vogue, and National Geographic.
If you Google Ice Capades 1950s, and you look at the programs from those, this was fun for the whole family. You watched people dance on skates. The show would tour America and come to your town. And they dressed up as animals for kids. They did stunts, but there were sexy ladies in little skirts, so you can see their underwear, for the dads. And everybody pretended this wasn't going on, but it happens even today, where ABC, the weather women on ABC are spectacular. One of the richest women in the world, Lauren Sanchez, started off as a Los Angeles weather girl. And I believe there are certain outlets for people who are too Christian to spank themselves to porn. I believe that includes Los Angeles weather people and the women on Dancing with the Stars.
Hey, got a question for you and Toby. Is everybody becoming a YouTube star? Because apparently this is something that Andy Roddick, the famous tennis player, is doing. So the former #1 tennis player in the world is now at the top of a growing pack of podcasters that are focused on sports. So maybe we got to get Andy to come to Pod TV, but that's probably going to cost millions of dollars as well. But definitely, is everybody that is out there.
When everybody's a star, nobody is a star. I talked to a PR guy a week ago. I said, I'm on this channel like 12 hours a week, but it doesn't lead to anything. Nobody's calling me asking me to be on anything beyond Pod TV for the most part. And the PR guy said, yeah, we can't help you. PR guys, the ones I've talked to, have been surprisingly honest. They said, no, we cannot get you opportunities. All we can do is we can place articles about you on the internet or in magazines, and every article, depending, if you want to be in Forbes magazine, it'll cost you $7,500. A lesser magazine, maybe $1,200. But all that does is, if somebody is vetting you, if somebody from CNN, look, this jackass, should we have him on to say opinions with the other jackasses? When CNN Googles you, they see these articles and they're like, oh yeah, maybe we should. He seems legit. But they can't get CNN to call you. They can only make you sound like you're
legitimate and everything like that.
Well, the thing is, if you're trying if you're looking for people to call you and do all that stuff based on being on a podcast, you have to figure out what that podcast is. That's all what it boils down to. And that's where we haven't figured out what the podcast is. What we figured out is, hey, we're coming on here, we're going to make a couple of jokes, say a couple of things, and then we're done. So, for example, some of the podcasts that I showed you guys before, there's a gentleman, there are a couple of kids that are starting to pop up. The younger generation are starting to pop up on your CNNs now that have a following in that podcast realm because of how they do their podcast. And there's a structure to it. There's that kid Destiny who's on pretty much everything now. He's traveling around. There's a Canadian group that picked him up that has him go and debate different individuals. There's Jubilee that started the one verse 20 thing, and they're starting to put more and more individuals to these 1 verse 20 setups. But all those things are grabbing people who have a following and have a structure to their actual podcast, because what they're doing is a podcast and not a hybrid of, hey, are we going to be a TV show, or are we going to be a podcast, or are we going to be just a talk station? So it's just a matter of honing in on what this is going to be to be able to promote it that way, and then that's how you get on those shows.
And it's a ton of work.
It is.
That's definitely working.
Or you can be a crazy asshole. Laura Loomer is this clinically insane. She's been put away twice, and she got kicked off of Twitter for being racist or some other stuff. And she's so crazy that she protested by traveling to Twitter headquarters and handcuffing herself to the doors of Twitter. And people were like, holy crap, that lady is a crazy asshole. And now she is an advisor to President Trump. She tells him who to hire and fire.
She's a white supremacist who now has connections with President Trump. We already know. I mean, we cannot
President Trump like that.
But the thing is, again, it all boils down to if you really want to have. I mean, there's some podcasts out there that really have it structured to okay. Well, you know what you're going to watch. You know what highlights. You know exactly the structure of the show. Like the Dean, the kid Dean. I cannot remember his last name right now. I think it's Withers, whatever else. He basically has it set up where he runs on not only TikTok, but also your other socials and runs on YouTube, runs it live for about 3 hours or for 2 to 3 hours. But he also has it set to where, okay, all he's doing is debating Trump supporters and he's going to have that set. There's another kid who I think was his moderator. The big thing is we've got to have a moderator sitting in the comment section to pump out that information and to be able to respond to people, to be able to talk to, because not everything that pops up in the comments is something that should pop up on the screen. What that is that's dealing with your moderator sitting here talking to the individual in the comments. And then if it finds out to be something informative or something to add to the conversation, then you pop it up into the screen. It's, that's usually the way.
By the way, StreamYard has added a new feature, and I'm actually going to love this feature, which is kind of what you're talking about. But they've got notes now. So literally, if you are talking, I can sit there and write a note of what I want to say next, and it's right underneath the sound section, and it is available to everybody, both guests and everybody else. So they've added a new note section, so you literally can type notes as people are talking if there are things that you want to bring up. So I'm going to bring up one of those now, even though I didn't type it and everything, because Rick, you're a big fan of AI. There is a very popular movie that is using AI, and they're using it as part of the immersive experience at the Sphere in Las Vegas. So the Wizard of Oz is getting an AI glow up. So we're going to see AI and a Wizard of Oz, because we know they do a lot of specialty movies and stuff like that.
So the Sphere is this giant structure. It's more IMAX than IMAX. Yeah, and they're taking the Wizard of Oz and they're using all sorts of computer effects to make it super crazy. They're probably they'll add smells, they'll add vibrations. When somebody's being attacked by the flying monkeys, you'll feel it. And I think when you go to the Sphere, people recommend that you get high, so you're even more like blown away by this crazy experience.
Well, there's a type of movie that I'm not a big fan of and everything, just because I sometimes can get a little bit overly scared and everything. But apparently there's a very popular movie that is doing well. I don't know how it's doing in Bangladesh, but The Conjuring Last Rites set a surprise box office record, and it's a horror sequel. And like I said, I don't always do great with horror. I'm more of a fantasy person. I do like some fantasy movies, even though I judged a horror and fantasy contest for 3 or 4 years and everything like that. But they said it took in roughly 83 million over the weekend, and in both the U.S. and Canada, about 65% more than anticipated. So are we at this point in our life where we need more horror in our lives, or if we're going to the movie theaters and we're going to see more horror films? Because I've seen a couple more that were advertised, including something I think had Wicked in the title or something.
All right, so people our age aren't going to the movies much. It's movies are for younger people. Horror works great because movies that are scary. Let's let Jacoby talk.
No, I mean, you guys are missing what time of year it is.
It's near Halloween.
Yeah, so usually horror movies come out around Halloween. That's why.
Yeah, but also horror movies work great with teens because it gives them an excuse to grab onto each other and get all feely.
No, it's just Halloween. Just Halloween. I do like that idea, though.
But yeah, I mean, it's also it's technology. When you look at the horror movies of the past, they look like crap because the technology wasn't there yet, the 1950s. Now, horror did a little better than science fiction because you can make realistic, people with their heads cut off better than you can
Oh
make
yeah,
space aliens.
it's incredibly gross today.
People move into your city and everything. Because I just saw another article where TV producers are flocking to California because they're doing something that we used to do in North Carolina until we got rid of it, and hopefully it'll come back. But they've got expanded tax credit. So the state announced the first 22 projects to take advantage of its hefty new incentives to attract production. Hey, maybe we can get some of that tax credit for Pod TV, and particularly your show.
Yeah, North Carolina offered it.
If we make the Pod TV movie, which is we get actors to play us.
No, it says TV producer. So I'm thinking they're talking about like TV shows.
Well, let's talk to Sharif because he's getting thousands of people watching his World Talent Economic Forum show in Bangladesh. Dr. Sharif, is there any way we can get more programming from Asia? Do you know any producers or people that are producing podcasts over there?
Yeah, definitely your show, your podcast is very valuable for my career and for my life. I want to give special thanks to you, how you enhance my career. I want to give a special thanks. But I am more like taking action besides this dialogue, what I am discussing. We do a lot of research, publishing research paper, develop startup, taking actions, uplifting human resources. That's why our World Talent Economic Forum, definitely your Pod TV also, because wherever I go, I promote your Pod TV. It's become very popular, not only Bangladesh, even this month we are working with this IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, especially American big giant corporation CEO from IIT. So we are developing 500 startup, and what we discussing just last show regarding this talent economy. So talent economy is the main pillar for this program, and media like Pod TV also very important things. So I believe that with our action, with our innovation like practice and theory and TV or impact investment, it's actually change human lives, and it's better than any kind of Nobel Prize and all of the things. So I believe that our partnerships, our friendship, you will get a long-term impact for grassroots level communities, long-term impact of the human talent developments. That's why always I try to promote idea, always I try to promote new things, new innovations. Some point I demotivate all of the debate about Trump. So my objective, how we can be more productive. I will invite you all in our startup championships. All of the big company from South Asia, all of the young talented people will join. 30 million people will join in this ecosystem. So we are working very hard. I want to continue these two shows. One is Global Talent Show. I invite talented people in my show, and another one this Friday. We discuss futuristic topic. We need more of your support because Nick, you are the leaders, right? You are the leader of this Pod TV. So how we get more success, this is also important in our life, in our career. That is important because already you are like an idol. Maybe in the sessions we are just go for debate, discussions, and all of the things. But when I go for conference, when I go for even grassroots level in Bangladesh, last week I do a conference. I joined as a keynote speaker in Chatpur, near Podda River. Even that place, they know about Nick, they know about Pod TV, and that is interesting. So I believe if we create this kind of life-changing event, it has amazing impact, and people long term they will remember you. And definitely, you can make business from here. You are open. You can make business long term.
Well, you guys have all the people and have all the young people. All the old people are in the United States.
So, you go to conferences where foreign vendors are trying to get their shows licensed, right?
Yeah.
So you could do there are more than 5 million Indian Americans in the U.S. You could probably license material from India, from Bangladesh, for, I don't know, not that much money. Especially, you could do the Mystery Science Theater model, where you buy something incredibly cheap and incredibly bad, some terrible, terrible movie from India, and then you hire a couple Indian Americans to sit in the audience and make jokes to viewers about the movie as it plays. That
You join my team. You execute it. You are my partners, right? We have billions of people. That is for sure.
They do have billions
youth.
of people. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
we have all of the young people. So
Right.
you have your idea, you have your pod TV and platform. Let's work together.
So has
Let's make
anybody
progress.
made an Indian language Mystery Science Theater 3000 where you show a bad movie and you make fun of it as it rolls? Because that is, I mean, that's been a successful format in the US for 40 years. This show has been on and off the air. And it would,
Excellent.
you know, and it doesn't cost anything.
Excellent. As a team, my very good point. Like, you brainstorm your idea, make the concept. I will support you from the ecosystem, bringing all of the talented people and local corporations and everything together. But we need to run the show. We need to run our program, like Pod TV, right? And then we continue our business and everything. It's open. It's like a very open market. You do not have to think about all of the government law, rules, and regulations, because grassroots level is open, very open. And they are, let's say, Rick Rosner, you know, that the Saudi ambassador. He said, do you know who is the talented man and high IQ people who join the show regularly? They say, who? I said, Rick Rosner. Hey, this is very interesting. So people start to know about you. So now it's a very good platform for you to make business, make more friends.
I'm a bad businessman, but okay.
hire Nick. Nick is a great consultant for all of the business.
That's where, Rick, you can get your 2 billion followers, because there are easily 2 billion next door.
Okay, that would be great. I used to buy fake followers by the million. I
have to buy fake. There's 2 billion. There's a billion. See, Bangladesh is like the Switzerland of Asia. They get along with everybody. So they got to get along with the Chinese. Then they have like 1.5 billion, and they got to get along with the Indians. And they're another 1.6 billion. There's 3 billion people next door to Dr. Sharif, where in our place we have 300 million. It's like, it's not even close. So if we want to rack up numbers, you know, we need to concentrate and work with Dr. Sharif on developing more programming and distribution in South Asia.
Well, then let's license MST 3000.
Yeah, that's where all the action's going to be. It's not going to be here. U.S. is going to grow at a very short rate, and we don't have all the people anyway. And we don't have, all we have is a bunch of old people.
I said that, Nick, let's say in next 3 years, we bring 100 million people from South Asia, right? 100 million people. And every month they pay you $1. $100 million in 1 month.
Yeah, no, I got it. You know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is there a way we can expand what we're doing on that? Because I saw your World Talent Economic Forum came through LinkedIn, and it was rated #1 on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Through the network. I was kind of like, whoa! And it doubled the amount of the next best show on Pod TV. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm going, boy, they're getting all the viewers over at WTEF. And then I was realizing you guys have all the demographics to do stuff like that, where here you just don't have the demographics. So rather than complain about Fox, I think we should really focus on the Asian market, Rick. That's where it is.
This month program.
Licensing one of the crappiest Indian-made movie in the world, and then putting people in front of the screen to make fun of it. You'd want people who are bilingual so they can joke both
speak Hindi.
In Hindi and in English, and
Urdu.
Okay, but whatever are the best languages, they can throw out jokes. They don't have to be great jokes, as long, you know. They just keep throwing them out, you know, and people will watch the heck out of that. And
we're going to have to reconvene next week
this month
because we're at the hour.
Okay.
Another show coming on.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, bye.
And we'll see you next week on the media show, because otherwise the timeshare people will be.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember